the concert visuals that you did for Coachella for Anyma and Grimes. One of the sickest visuals we've seen. There's like an actual person in the shape of honey dripping down. How do these videos come to life? This is Tyler, a creative director who uses AI to bring his visions to life. His videos have gathered huge attention by pushing the boundaries of artistic creation and setting new standards for the integration of technology in art. He has worked with the likes of Anyma and Grimes, creating visuals for shows such as Coachella.
Anything that even remotely can be shaped like a person, I can turn a person into. I wish I could make the things I make as simple as prompting.
What are your thoughts about an algorithm coming in and replacing the act of creativity?
The only things sacred are going to be our ideas. You need to be aware of what's going on with these tools, and you need to learn to use them so that you don't get replaced by someone with shittier ideas who know how to talk to the robot.
The goddamn robot's done!
First question I have for you is, how did that all happen? Tyler, welcome to the Bad Decisions podcast.
Super excited to be here. Thank you guys so much for inviting me on.
Dude, it's a pleasure to have you on. We cannot wait for this conversation to happen. It's something me and Farah have been waiting for the past few weeks. So super stoked. And first of all, we want to start by congratulating you on working with Anyma on one of the sickest visuals we've seen. I mean, that is freaking crazy.
We saw it on Instagram.
We saw it on Instagram. For anybody watching and listening, you guys can head over to Tyler's Instagram, check it out, because in the pinned post that you have, it's the concert visuals that you did for Coachella for Anyma and Grimes. And I got to give a little bit of a backstory. Me and Farah are huge electronic music fans.
We just came from Tomorrowland.
We just came from Tomorrowland. We go to Tomorrowland every year and we watch Anyma live. We love melodic techno. So it all matches. First question I have for you is, how did that all fucking happen?
Okay, so one, the short answer is consistency. But two, the long answer is for the past year, almost a year and a half, I have, without fail, put my work on social media at least 5 times a week. Period.
I love that.
Legend.
And there are Discord communities, specifically in the niche that I'm in, which is the AI generative art sphere, that I also post in, along with all my main social medias, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, my X, because I know that in these Discord communities, people from Netflix animation studios and people from the traditional VFX world are lurking and watching, even though they're not participating. So every time I have something new to post, I make sure I also post it in the art sharing channels in these Discord communities. And it wasn't even a specific video I posted, but just someone reached out to me. I usually don't accept random DMs from people I don't know on Discord, but I was like,
it happened on Discord.
Yeah, he reached out to me on Discord. He sent me a DM on Discord and he asked me if I would be interested in maybe doing something for Coachella. And then we had a conversation. He didn't even need much of a background. He said he's been following my work silently for the past like 6 months. And he had put together an AI team to do Grimes's set, and he was looking for the person for Anyma. Now, if you know anything about Anyma, you know they do his entire set are the massive 3D characters banging on the screen. It's insane. But there's also a very minimalistic quality to it. And right at the time he hit me up, I was one of the few people that have been experimenting doing purely characters and subjects with AI on black backgrounds. So getting away from all the noise and all the randomness that's often associated with AI stuff. And so I already had a workflow and a pipeline built out to get a character on a black background, full transformation perfectly with ease. So it was just a matter of me saying yes. We negotiated the budget, and then they sent me all the reference imagery. The stressful part about that was, even though I got hired to do that about a month in advance, the 3D assets from Anyma's team didn't get delivered to me until that Thursday before the first night of the Coachella show.
When was wait, when was the first night of the Coachella?
Saturday, right? It's like
Saturday. So I had
Holy shit. Okay, so how much coffee and Red Bull? What did you have?
no, so it was, and I'm not over exaggerating this. It was legitimately 48 hours, maybe an hour nap while stuff was rendering, but I would still set my alarm to come out and make sure stuff didn't fail, just because big job, anything can happen, even though I know what I'm doing. But yeah, no, it was intense, man. And that was also my first time, even though I'm into motion graphics and I do After Effects and all that stuff. When they delivered me the files, that was my first time actually working with an EXR file.
Oh,
right. Yes. And that's, was it heavier, larger?
Bro. So before I could even do anything with it, I had to open up the EXR file. I had to isolate the layers and get the mats out and convert them into an MP4 so I could actually run it through my pipeline. Yeah. But doing that took me like 4 hours.
Oh, man.
But bro, in 48 hours, how did you guys do revision or, storyboarding or concept, or everything was done and then you got the files and you know what you need to work on for that 48 hours?
So the two guys that had hired me and brought me onto it, before we got those assets, they were sending me similar videos of what they imagined the characters might look like from the 3D render that I would have to work on. And we were running tests and sending them to Anyma's creative team prior to get everything that we could possibly get cleared and okayed done before I actually got the thing. So we already had the style, everything just like cleared through all the channels. Literally all that was left for me to do when it came in was do the thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
do the conversion of the 3D render into what you created using your pipeline.
Yes. And so the thing though, so if you look at that animation, it's two characters and then each character has a set of cables that are coming out of their back, and the cables detach and they do this crazy wavy motion off the screen. That composition is too wide for the AI tool I use to actually, because with the way the AI stuff works, the closer in and the better crop I can get on the subject, the more detail I can get on them and the cleaner it's going to be, even if I'm going to reset them on the wider composition afterwards. So I had to take, I think it was like 7150 by 21 something. It was like just a long
giant
rectangle,
weird aspect ratio to work with, right? But I essentially had to chop that up into 4 different comps in After Effects, so one for each set of cables, one for each character, and I had to do the crops really like as perfectly as I could to maximize the subject being as large on the screen as possible with making sure none of it got cut off and was out of the frame. So I was like, yeah, but I got it done. So that whole animation ended up being 4 separate AI renders, and then I take everything back into After Effects and recomp it all back together and set it perfectly. You never even know I tore it apart.
Wow. Quick question. Of course, you got everything in 4K. When you render everything out of your pipeline, did you get 4K back, or you had to use upscaling?
So when I run stuff through my AI pipeline, the typical resolution I try to run at, barring the weird resolution I had to work with for this thing, I had to do a bunch of math and conversions, and I was using aspect ratio calculators, and it was it was a clusterfuck for a minute. But the resolution I tend to render at for like social media, let's say, is 512 by 896. Yeah. So still basically a divisible thing by the 1080 by 1920. And if it's wide, just flip those numbers. And then my second upscaled pass with what I do comes out at 768 by 1344. And then from there, I have a third latent upscale pass. So not with Topaz or anything like that, but like another latent upscaler that's actually diffusing it a third time that will get it to the full 1080 or beyond.
Okay.
Wow. That is crazy. And honestly, I have so many technical questions, but I want to, for a moment, take it out of the technical
and functional.
I know. I want to ask
behavioral.
I want to ask a little bit about the social media part, because we've talked to many people in the industry, and
different
one
industries.
thing. It's not a particular person I'm talking about. I'm talking in general terms. One thing I don't enjoy particularly is when I see someone who's extremely successful and then we ask them questions about how they gotten there, and the answer is not clear. The answer is vague. It's more luck, or this might have happened. There's uncertainty in the answer. We know why we made it. Like if we made something, we know exactly why we made it. It's hard work. Every fucking day, hours put into the work, into the craft, into the skill. And the reason I loved your answer, the initial answer you gave, consistency and talking about how you put your work out there, that is so crucial. That is one thing that so many people miss these days. And there could be many artists who are better than us, better than you, but they just never put their work out there. They don't spend that time, because I understand as an artist, all you want to do is focus on your art. Moving towards social media, especially in the beginning,
it's difficult.
It's
extreme,
freaking complex.
Especially now, he's talking about posting on Discord channels, posting on X, Instagram. People don't know that when me and Faraz have these things. When we start posting something, it takes half an hour to 1 hour to post on every single platform.
Every platform. And then you compile all of that together. You're spending half of the day posting. And this is the problem that artists don't understand. They think, personally, I had this problem as well, that I could spend all of that time into my art, which means I can improve my art, so I'll be better. And that could be the answer. But we're reading Steve Jobs' book right now. That guy spent most of his time on marketing the product. So he made the product, but the most important part after that was marketing the freaking product. He was so detailed on how he marketed every single product. So when it comes to you, I want to understand exactly what's your thought process when it comes to marketing yourself and how you deal with that situation of spending time on the art or spending time on marketing.
Okay, so before I dive into the detailed answer there are two really painful kind of objective truths that I think are true for this that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge from the artist's standpoint, which is, one, if no one sees your stuff, no one's going to ever know how great your work is. Period. It doesn't matter how cool your shit is, how groundbreaking it is. If you don't put yourself out there, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And two, I hate to say it, and I know a lot of people don't want to deal with this part of it. Especially, I see it in the art world consistently, because there are certain traits that people who are inherently very good at art have that are counter to this. But you have to learn how to plant your feet on the ground and say, I'm the shit every now and then.
Yeah,
like
100%.
You have to. And if you don't learn how to talk about your work confidently, and you don't get comfortable talking about your work confidently, and I don't mean bragging, and I don't mean being cocky, but confidently saying, this is what I do. I know I'm great at it. I want to share it with you. Yeah. If you don't get good at talking about your stuff, someone who is better at talking about their art, who is less talented than you, will get the job over you 90%.
They will win.
About 90% of the time.
They will win. It's very simple. They will win. You have to get over the imposter syndrome. You have to have pride in your work. Of course, after having gotten the craft, gotten the skills, but eventually there is time for you now to go ahead and promote yourself. And you have to do that. There's one little exception. If you are just doing art as a hobby and you do not care at all about making money, then it's fine. It's fine if you don't post at all. We're not talking about those specific people. We're talking about people who complain about not having jobs or are in the comments hating on other people getting the right jobs. It's simply because you don't put yourself out there. I think that's, if you have the skills, the only other thing is you're just not putting yourself out there.
And it's free. Social media is free. I don't understand.
If this was 20 years ago, you had to pay for TV
imagine
ads.
If you had to pay every single time you post something. It's crazy. It's free. Just do it.
we are currently, every day that we are alive right now, we are living in the best time to be able to make a living doing something you love doing. That doesn't mean it's easy, but there has been no other time in history where it was more accessible for you to get your grind on and do your thing on the side of your 9 to 5 or figure it out until your thing can make you money. This is the most accessible that route has been for a mass amount of people. But coming back to what you originally asked me, so my weekends are dedicated to making my social media content. Period. Friday afternoon to the time when I clock out from work with it, which is still with AI and art related, but I don't mix my, even though I'm a remote worker, I don't mix my work hours with my make personal stuff for myself time. I make sure I draw that line. So Friday afternoon to Sunday evening, I'm grinding out all my content for the next week. And throughout the week, I'm going through, I'm looking at videos, I'm getting ideas, I'm taking notes, I'm jotting stuff down, I'm saving things. So I have an idea of what I'm making over the weekend, just as I'm going through my daily social whatever. But the weekend is when I make all my content. And then for each individual platform, what I do, and I suggest everyone else do this because it has made my life a lot easier. I'm a very big, like, the past couple months, I've become a very big LLM user too. I was a little late on the LLM thing, even though I've been in the generative art side for a long time. But me and Claude, we are like buddies.
Really?
And
Claude over GPT.
Dude.
Really?
Okay, tell us.
Really?
Actually, I'm very curious to know.
Are you guys familiar at all with P5.js?
No.
No. Okay, so P5.js.
You got to educate us on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so P5.js is a online platform where you can make generative art or sketches using JavaScript coding, and they give you the text editor and they give you your output right there in the browser. There's nothing local you have to download.
Amazing.
But up until now, the caveat was you need to know JavaScript.
Yeah.
I can, and this is how I actually forced myself to get better at talking to the LLMs to get better responses. I will sit there and I will have a conversation with Claude explaining to him what type of visual output I want P5.js to give me. I want a row of 5 3-dimensional cubes rotating on the Z-axis in 180 degrees, and I want them to be a rainbow hue shifting throughout the animation, and the animation has to be a perfect loop. And Claude will spit out the JavaScript code and say, this should produce that animation for you. Now, most of the times it doesn't, but this is where the learning comes in, right? You have to learn how to explain what you want to it better and ask it the right questions so it can ask you the right questions and give you better answers. And through sitting there for hours and just like drilling down and refining the code just through a conversation with it, me using plain language, it giving code back to me.
Already giving misgender. How dare you misgender the AI? How dare you?
but no, through that interaction, you start to understand better how the LLM is understanding you, and it helps you start to form the muscle of being able to ask better questions to work with it. So Claude, coming back to social media, I will write a general idea or caption on what I want this post to convey. And then I will put that in Claude and I will say, can you please format this for LinkedIn? My audience is very into generative AI animation, and I am trying to position myself as a thought leader in the AI art space. Please do not say I am a thought leader in the AI art space.
Yeah, sometimes you have to be very precise about certain things. I agree.
But then that spits out this very concise, like, bullet points, everything. It puts a call to action with a question at the end of it. It gives me hashtags that I'll add some more hashtags onto, and I'll take that and I'll refine it just a little bit more so it's more my voice. But I'm doing that for every platform. Okay, give me that same thing, but now format it for X and make the tone of voice more playful, and it does it. And that's just what I gave it. Was like a short little 3-sentence blurb.
Wow, we should definitely give it a try. We have tried that with GPT, and to be honest, getting captions from GPT, we have never been successful. It would give us the same buzzwords all the time. Buckle up, or using the same words.
Get yourself ready for the next.
Yeah. But definitely gotta give it a try.
Everyone I know that is doing high level stuff and coding with Python and everything, and like into machine learning, everyone has ditched GPT for Claude.
Yes.
Okay, they're gonna do that.
That I've heard on X multiple times. We tried it again, probably not the right way. But
have you tried Claude?
I have, yes. But I was using it perhaps in something that GPT was better, not for coding. So for GPT, we've been delving into real estate lately, and what we've been using GPT for is handing it all the floor plans and then asking it a bunch of questions, because we cannot read floor plans. But then GPT can. It will tell us the height specifications, everything that we need to know, or even company profiles.
No, financial. So
financial
I was doing
profiles.
the competitor analysis, and there was this company in France, and I got their financial in French. So I uploaded it into GPT, and I was asking what is the liabilities, what are the total value of asset, and it gave good answers.
Yeah, it can help you save so much time. So people who are not actually using these LLMs are essentially going to eventually lose out to people that do in the same line of job, right? Because you get to spend so much more time on the things that matter than the things that would just take time, that are redundant. So for instance, the company profiles that we were looking at, they were 12 pages, 20 pages filled with numbers, 22 pages filled with numbers. And now you get to ask it questions, technically asking a PDF questions. And I think,
like how much they paid for their personnel in 2022, how much they paid taxes. Instead of me going through all the tables,
Exactly.
it would give me the answer.
So smart.
yeah, no, it's 100% something that we recommend people use as well if they haven't already.
In any industry, if you are in, and any work that you are doing, actually you can use AI to help you speed up your workflow, at least. Speed up your workflow, the things that you don't want to learn or you don't want to do, you can just use AI to help you with.
Personally, I feel like anyone who isn't at this point is maybe they just don't know, because most people not in the creative industry, working regular 9-to-5s, people are just trying to get through their day most of the time, right? They don't care about all the stuff that we're talking about right now. But if you know about it and you're not using it, you are almost intentionally handicapping yourself.
Yes. 100%. It's like businesses who didn't use social media for the first 5 to 10 years, it was there. Every business is now on social media, right? But some came sooner, some came later. The later you come in, the harder it is going to be for you to compete. So that's why we're saying we're not saying go and replace other people's jobs. We're just saying use these tools that are going to help you save your time. Now, moving on, I want to go back.
Going back.
Yeah, going back to the technical parts now, because we've seen on your social media not just the work you did with Anyma, but the work you're putting up as your own pieces of content.
The recent one, the breakfast ones.
The recent ones, which for some reason, I have to say, it makes me so freaking hungry. And we're on a diet.
Wait. Do you
hungry and horny?
Yeah.
Hungry and horny, because it's like let me try to explain to people who are listening and haven't watched these videos what these videos are.
Pancake yoga. What's to get horny with pancake yoga?
It's sausages dancing on pancakes. Doing yoga on pancakes. There is honey dripping on top of ice cream doing pole dancing. So there's like an actual person in the shape of honey dripping down on top of ice cream. And there's so much more content. Like there's cheese coming down on top of the pizza that is also dancing. It is.
Let's start at the ideation phase.
Yeah, let's talk about the ideation and then talk about the technicalities of how do these videos come to life in your mind and then on your computer.
Okay, so because I have used these AI tools that I specifically use, which I will just throw it out there now, and then we can talk about the specifics of that later. All my videos are made in a open source user interface called Comfy UI that is browser based.
Yep.
And the actual AI rendering that I'm doing is in something called Animate Diff, which is essentially stable diffusion.
Yes.
But Animate Diff is like a stable diffusion model trained on low frame video footage.
And Comfy UI is essentially just a
user
interface that is more user friendly than if you were to go and do head into the coding side of things, right? It's more node based and easier to visualize things.
It is node based. I definitely would not say user friendly. Almost everyone that uses it, even the guys that are good at it, we all have a very love-hate relationship with this thing.
Yeah.
But it's great because the way that it's built, it's so modular, and the development community for it is so strong because it's all open source, and the devs are, a lot of times what we'll see with technology is the developers are very rarely the people making the art that's going to get people interested in the technology, right? You need both sides of the coin. You need the creative brains and you need the technical brains. I fall more on the creative side, but the developers that are building the nodes and that are doing all the things in this ecosystem are very in tune with the creative artists. And so while sometimes there's a little disconnect there is a much smaller disconnect here than we would typically see in other communities and other softwares.
Very cool. Very cool. So that makes it much easier for them to recognize the strengths and weaknesses of the platform.
And the features.
Creating features that people actually want. Okay.
Exactly.
So let's talk about how this whole workflow works. So, I mean, first from the ideas, right? So let's talk about the sausage on the pancakes or the cheese on the pizza. How does the idea come into your mind?
So I am a member of a private Discord server, and everyone in there, like,
I knew it. That's where the ideas come. We need to join that Discord server.
Well, look, if there's one thing, like I said, where I lack technically and where it might take me a little longer to understand what's going on with the noding and just like the technical side of things, I make up for, I feel personally, with my creative direction and my ideas. And once I understand what's going on the technical side, then I can just sprint foot on the gas. But the idea for it is, I know that anything that even remotely can be shaped like a person, I can turn a person into. And I don't know if I was the one that popularized the technique, but before I was doing it, I didn't see anyone else doing it, where there are the backgrounds. If you look at my AI stuff, the backgrounds are so stable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm building those backgrounds in After Effects before it gets fed into the AI pipeline. So I'm every video you see of mine I've been doing this a year and a half now, so probably the better part of a year and a half. I'd say at least 90% of the last year and a half. Wow. I have rotoscoped something in After Effects every day.
Okay, so technically you're cropping out things out of videos and then stitching them together for the background. This is just for the background that we're talking first?
It can be both ways. So think of it as the same way that someone would photo bash in Photoshop and take elements from all these different photos to make like this very surreal scene. I'm essentially doing that in After Effects, except I'm taking the subject out of an Instagram video. I'm rotoscoping them out, and then I'm building my background, sometimes with videos, sometimes with images, and a lot of the time I'll transform my subject into a 3D layer, even though it's 2D. And all I need is to get a little bit of the right perspective going, and the AI knows what I want it to do.
Wow. So
it will even generate the accurate shadows for me.
Okay, I'm just trying to get this right. So in the simplest terms, you get the Instagram video of someone dancing or doing yoga, and then you have the pizza background, however you made that. through stitching different things together from a photo, from a video.
Is that photo also AI generated, like the pizza and everything?
If I'm using photos and not videos for the backgrounds, even if I pull a reference from like a photo that I saw browsing Pinterest, I'll take that and throw it into like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion and use that as a reference to then generate exactly what I want. Cause like I'll look for real world imagery to just like spark
get an idea.
The idea. And then I take that idea and I try to run with it down the AI rabbit hole and make it more fantastical in some way.
That makes a lot of sense because one thing we've realized about your post, I'm not talking about the frequency of the post. I'm talking about every single post. There's consistency in the frames. So one thing that I know people had challenges with when it comes to AI is that all your frames are different from each other. One thing with your work is, one, there's great consistency in the frames, which makes it look really nice. And two, there's the amazing composition that you have of different things, different objects in your shots. It's not just like everything just put together in the scene. Everything is well crafted, and that's why it's so pleasing to watch. And you just have to look at the number of shares on every single video. You know how many people are enjoying the fucking art that you're putting out there because everybody's sending it to each other.
Dude, the bacon, egg, and pancake video, that sounded like such a stupid idea when I went to make it. And then I made it, and I looked at it, I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then I was browsing through music, and I was going to use a different song on it, and my girlfriend was like, you should try to put like a Usher song on it. And then I was like, oh, and I went and I grabbed Nice and Slow, and I looked at it, I was like, this is it. Perfect. She's the entire reason that thing went viral. But it the thing that people need to realize is the better you are with traditional tools, the better you are in Photoshop, in Illustrator, in After Effects. Even if you can do rough comping in Premiere Pro and you don't want to dive into After Effects, the more you can do before AI even gets introduced into the picture, the better it will be. Nothing I do at the level I do it happens without my experience doing everything I did before AI.
Okay. I think that is a quote right there.
Yes.
That is a quote. That is very important because I think a lot of people's mentality when it comes to AI art is, I'm going to prompt something, I'm going to get something out, that's my art. And that's how they define it. But that is completely false when it comes to the conversation we're having right now. And one of the reasons we're having this conversation is exactly what you just mentioned.
Dude, I wish I could make the things I make. I wish it was as simple as prompting. I wish that was the case. My life would be so much easier. But also, so like a trait that I've always had, that I've always been very aware of, you know, when I first got into video editing and shooting, I started in Final Cut. And, you know, once I kind of got my bearings with editing, because I started shooting dance videos. And if you guys don't mind, just to give you like the little background of how like creative
100%.
brain here even happened. So I have a street dance background. I've been popping since I was 16.
I'm just gonna interject. We did go to a YouTube channel to the oldest
8 years
video,
ago,
and we saw the video. We've done our stalking. We recommend everybody do the same.
Oh, but I've been popping, and I've been very involved in the street dance community since I was 16, and I'm 37 now. And there was, I think it was 2018. It was a little bit before COVID happened, like full blown happened. I had paid someone to shoot a more professional video of me because I just wanted something high quality of myself. At this time, I had no camera. This wasn't even a thought. It was a single shot video. All he had to do was color grade it and line up the music. It took him almost 3 weeks to get me the video back. And I paid money for it. And then when I got it back, I had given him cues as to how I like my dancing shot. Didn't follow any of my cues.
Total mess.
And that's cool if I'm not paying for it, then by all means, carte blanche, do what you want. But if I'm paying for it, you got to listen to me a little.
Of course, yes.
I looked at that video, and that night I was like, I don't know shit about this, but I know I could make a better dance video than this. And I went on eBay. I went on eBay that night and I bought a first generation used Sony A7S and a 35 millimeter with a 35 millimeter lens for $500. And I shot with that camera for a full year, just recording all my friends that are really amazing breakdancers and b-boys here. And I said, okay, if I stick with this and I like this, then at that time I will cash out some crypto and I'll like do the thing. Lo and behold, a year later, I've been doing it consistently every weekend for a year now. A7S3, all the lenses I want, just one time, just did the whole thing.
Yes. It's clearly it worked out because it's the background says it all.
But that wouldn't have happened had I not gotten something back of myself that I was so unhappy with that made me say, I bet I could do this better. But through going down that editing rabbit hole, I was very quickly thinking about like, okay, how can I make these videos in a way that if someone wants to copy what I'm doing, they're going to have to work really hard? And this is before like social media was even a thought, but that's just where my brain always goes. Like, how can I differentiate and be somewhere else from everyone? And that led me to the After Effects rabbit hole. And then, oh shit, but After Effects is like a Adobe thing. And I know Final Cut. I hate the way Premiere looks. And then it spirals, right? It spirals and you learn one thing and then you want to up it and you keep breaking down those walls. And that's the only reason I got where I currently am, is because I am constantly trying to figure out, everyone is doing this. How can I not do what everyone else is doing and be somewhere standing in a corner by myself, even if eventually other people come over? By the time they're trying to do what I'm doing, I want to be somewhere else. Mm-hmm. That's always the thought process.
We can see that definitely in your work. And I think especially the recent work that you have posted, what Faraz mentioned is true. The consistency in the frame is something that it really stands out. And I think we want to focus on that a little bit, on how you achieve that actually, because when we look at AI videos, AI generated videos or photos, the consistency between different prompts or different generations are off most of the time. But in your video, especially on the breakfast series that you are creating, they are very, very consistent.
So in Comfy UI and in Stable Diffusion, in the Comfy UI environment, there are a set of nodes that have gotten very popular in the past couple of months, called IP adapters. Mm-hmm. Okay. And IP adapters are essentially, you put reference images into them. Mm-hmm. And using a bunch of clever masking techniques, just from my After Effects experience, I'm able to focus the reference images on specific parts of the video and not have every reference image applied to every part of the frame.
Makes sense.
Perfect. And that has to be combined with the proper prompting. So you're essentially telling the AI what it's looking at in the imagery.
And that comes through lots of experience. I mean, you've been doing this for such a long time, and that's why the work shows. It's instantaneously something we see. The moment we see your work, it's different than anything else we've seen.
Sleep is a very fluid concept to me at this point. It also doesn't help that I'm based in Hawaii, so I'm the last time zone, and no one professionally I've worked with in the past year and a half is also based in Hawaii, so it just doesn't matter.
Makes it that much harder. Yes.
Yeah, but no. So when I started doing the AI stuff and using Stable Diffusion and trying to figure out the video stuff, before I had a community I was a part of or anything, I was just solo missioning it. I would finish up whatever editing work I had for the day, because at the time I was just remote editing full time. And as soon as that would be done at around 5 or 6 p.m., PC gets turned on, and I was in there until 3 or 4 a.m. trying to get a post for Instagram ready the next day, but I am OCD with quality, but not to the point where I let it block me from putting work
Hold you
out.
back. Yeah.
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 I'm a very so this is my favorite thing about AI is that I'm a very firm believer in fail fast and fail often. And with these tools, I am able to get the idea, some version of the idea I have in my head onto the screen quicker than ever before and fail at it quicker and more often than ever before. And the more I can do that and the quicker I can do that, the quicker I can iterate to finally get to some version of it that I actually saw in my head.
That makes a lot of sense. And actually, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Oren Sofer's video in a moment.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of speed, I'm very curious because we talked about Anyma's video that you did in 48 hours because of the time limit. What about the dancing videos that you're creating now? How long does it take for you to create one of those videos? And how long does it take for you to post and create content from them?
So if I have the idea, the idea phase is usually the longest part of it for me. And then once I have the idea, like the pancake sausage one, the yoga one that I posted this morning that you saw, it took me 3 or 4 different compositional attempts and generating different imagery before I landed on something that was like, this is the one. Okay. But once I have the idea and once I have all the pieces, dude, I'll have a day over the weekend where I'll get 3 to 5 videos out at one time.
Oh,
wow.
that's amazing.
That's really good. This is including, so going from the idea to Comfy UI, generating everything, going to After Effects, and your video's
rotoscoping, done. the whole thing. I'm a masochist with the rotoscope. And look, let me tell you, as someone who has used it every day for the past year, whatever updates they have done in After Effects, the Rotobrush is fucking sick now. So like kudos to Adobe on that one, because 6 months ago to now, it's like night and day. But
Really?
yeah, no. Once I have the idea, I know my workflow around this now, and my workflow continuously evolves as the AI tools evolve, because every couple of weeks we get bombarded with some new video model or new node pack or new something, and something will break my entire workflow, and the nodes have to be rebuilt, and it's just like you need the bob and weave. But that's also why I don't step away from this stuff for a day, because a day feels like a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
True.
That makes sense. I want to take the conversation to something quite interesting. Perhaps the reason why this conversation is even happening in the first place. We had Oren Sofer, the cinematographer for The Creator, on the podcast just about a few weeks ago. And we had a conversation about him, very interesting conversation about The Creator, the movie, which is an amazing one, but also about AI. That topic is always something we try to bring up.
We always have it on the podcast, yeah.
Always try to bring up to see what people's take on this. So Oren's take was quite interesting because he was not for or against AI. What he said, and I'm not quoting exactly what he said, but I'm just going to talk about general terms what he talked about. And he said that he's all for technology that helps push the boundaries of art. But what he cannot get behind is an algorithm coming in and replacing the act of creativity and the act of self-expression. You were one of the guys who commented under that post. I'm not going to even read your comment. I want to know straight off the bat right now, what are your thoughts about what Oren said, and why did you comment under that video?
Okay, well, I commented under that video because, and this is listen, Oren, nothing but respect for you. I think you're an incredibly talented person. Nothing but respect. Just from my side, as someone who uses this stuff every day, and I know that it is not an easy button. There is nothing easy about the stuff that gets made with this. There are low-hanging fruit and low-level ways to use this that can be easy and that are easy, but the outputs will reflect that. If we're talking about actual work that could be used in some type of commercial environment, there is no easy way around doing the actual work. And no algorithm is replacing anyone when it comes to that, regardless of what any high-level Hollywood exec wishes it would or how many people they want to slice from their payroll. That's not going to happen. What I am a firm believer, though, of on the slight other side of that, on the other side of that coin, is that going forward, relatively quickly and very soon, the way that I see things going from the lens I'm looking at from the AI community is that the only things sacred in the very near future are going to be our ideas. In a world where everyone can create anything at any time if they have the desire to and they have even just a little bit of willingness to learn a new tool, what differentiates anyone from anything? The idea. The computers, as much as I love them and as much as me and Claude are boys, they have pretty shit ideas because computers lack emotional context. They lack life experience. I don't care how many other people's life experiences you feed into an algorithm or an LLM model. It's not going to be a replacement for the very real emotional experiences and responses that people have in situations they go through in their lives that form their creative ideology if they end up in a creative field. That is always going to have infinite value. With that being said, you need to be aware of what's going on with these tools and you need to learn to use them so that you don't get replaced by someone with shittier ideas who know how to talk to the robot.
That's very well said. Go. I have something else I want to say.
Now that you're talking about the whole concept, and I'm reading your reply under that post, because you mentioned that anyone who thinks the technology is a slot machine is very ill-informed of what's happening. Especially, you have extreme control over everything.
Sorry. Just a comment on that. That is specifically referring to if you go look at my page. Nothing that is posted in anything I make is not intentional. Now, I do stumble upon happy accidents, and that's part of what I love about this stuff the most, is that while I may have the intention to create something, every now and then I'll get something back from the AI that is like, whoa, that was unexpected, but it's so cool. And then my brain runs in a different direction because I was inspired by the thing it gave me back. But if you look at all the stuff I make, everything is extremely intentional, and I am controlling that.
And to the point you just mentioned, that doesn't only happen with AI. The happy accident happens with everything.
When we're
with
simulating things,
it's not
in software, when you're taking a photo of a bird, yeah.
So it happens in every single domain. So you cannot blame the happy accident by being out of control.
And you cannot say you're not an artist because you had a happy accident.
Listen, if we're talking about leaving things up to the algorithm, what is any different about that than if you go and you watch any YouTube video of a prominent street photographer, a quarter of them are walking around New York City going like this.
Yeah. Yeah. We had that discussion with Farah. Actually, if you're a street photographer in New York, you're going to get a lot more beautiful photos than if you were, let's say, because we're from Iran. You try to do the same fucking thing in Iran, you're not going to get the same fucking photos. So I want to ask you guys a question. Actually, please go. Actually, you're right.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I think we're all very excited.
No, the point that I wanted to make is that I would look at the people who are working with generative AI. I will put them in two different groups. One, your group, which you have full control of what you're doing, which you are really enjoying the way you're expressing yourself. Because the act of making those videos, it involves creativity, it involves hard work, and it involves you expressing yourself with your ideas. The other group, which I think Oren also was pointing to, the other group mostly, it's, I prompted, I'll get it, and this is the end result. And what you mentioned, the result reflects the effort. How do you see these two different groups within the AI community? And how do you think one from the group that is just prompting and getting something out can move to the part that, there is hard work, there are tools involved, and there is creativity being used at the end?
So that's a hard one because I remember how difficult it was for me to start to become comfortable in After Effects. And by the way, shout out to Joey Corman and School of Motion, because when I got into After Effects, I'm a graduate of After Effects Kickstart. So
wow,
oh, that's awesome.
So,
shout out to Joey.
So yeah. I watch every Motion Monday he does, even though sometimes they have very harsh takes on AI.
Joey, you see, even Joey has to be a bit more moderate on AI.
No, but it's so like I can understand the difficulty for people that don't have any type, like where there's a lot of people I've met, and I wanna be very empathetic when I say this. There's a lot of people I've met in this community that they're excited about AI and all the generative tools because it's the first time they feel like they're actually able to express this creativity they felt their entire life, but they've never felt like they never felt the pull to pick up a camera or to edit a video or to pick up a pencil and draw something. But they still, like, people still inherently want to create stuff. So like those people aren't necessarily going to be the ones to go to the second and third and fourth and fifth layer until they're doing all the crazy stuff and have full control. For like, no matter what we're talking about in any discipline, you're going to have the casual user. And unfortunately, social media and the internet in general will be flooded with the casual user's work. That's just the way it is. There's no way around it, and I don't really see anything you can do about that.
And the thing is, I feel like over time, we're going to see them disappear because the algorithms will favor the more prominent work, which is going to be your work.
Right?
Exactly.
If you put a Mid-Journey photo now,
it doesn't.
Nobody
people
cares.
Notice, and even if they don't notice, there needs to be context. So when we see your videos, there's context. There's. I wanted. You don't know about this, but earlier today we were hanging out with our mother. I was hanging out with our mother, and I was showing her your videos. Because I was watching, I was watching his videos, and then I was like, okay, let's see what mom thinks about this, because she doesn't do 3D art. She's not, by our definition, a 3D artist.
I'm gonna tell her.
Well, she's an artist, but not a 3D artist. She's gonna kill me. So I showed her the video, and I asked her what she thought about it. The first reaction she had was, this is fucking amazing, because she hasn't seen anything like it. And I asked her if you find this creative. And she said, yes, it's very creative.
That was a great case study you did this morning.
Yeah, because I was just looking at the video. I was like, we're always looking at the same community talking about the same thing. I want to go out of it. Let's talk to my mother, who actually scrolls social media all the time. She's always on Instagram checking people's works out. But I think to this point, your work hasn't popped up on her feed. So I said, you know what, let me show it to her. And she loved it. So this is the thing I want to talk about, because we bring on guests. Everybody has a take. Me and Farah try not too much to come into the conversation to give our side of the story, because it's usually, most of the time, about the guest. But because AI is such a huge topic, I do want to just add a little bit of my take, if you guys don't mind. I did look up what art means, just to be sure, right? On Google and on ChatGPT. And art is essentially self-expression through skill, imagination, and creativity. And it's work that is produced by man for other people's pleasures. Your pleasure, but also other people to look at and be pleased, or hear and be pleased if it's music. And also it's supposed to evoke emotions. So then I literally put that into a question. I asked my mom how she felt. When she watched your video, she felt great. So it evoked an emotion. You did use skills in After Effects, in Comfy UI, your craft over the year and a half, and also before that, to create the videos you're creating. So it checks all of the fucking boxes when it comes to art. So for people to go ahead and say that this is not art, I think is completely false. And the world is not zeros and ones. It's not black and white. We know that. There's a huge gray area. So anybody who's creating art can fall into a very different category. And I think in your case specifically, you're definitely a fucking artist. So I'm only saying that because I don't know if, yeah, we got it right here. We saw in the comments of the Anyma video, you told someone, be careful using the A word here. I think you were talking about art. Because someone said that's beautiful art. And then you said, be careful using the A word around here because there's going to be trolls saying this is not art. It's BS. So we want to just make it very clear that I understand, and this is the topic we're going to get into, the ethical side of AI as we move forward. But I just want people to know that although AI has its dangers, yes, of course, like anything else has, there is many things that AI can be beneficial for. And the art you're creating is helping people. It's evoking positive emotions, and it's helping you. You're making money out of it.
No,
you
it has
just landed a
economy.
big
Yeah, it has
fucking job with
economy.
Anyma. It
Yeah.
has economy. You're being creative. You're enjoying yourself. People are enjoying watching your shit. They're sharing it. So I don't see how that's harmful, and I don't see why that's a problem.
So being that not only do I run my social media stuff in a very specific way, and I'm very consistent on my social, right? But my actual job is running all the social medias for the largest AI art website on the internet called Civitai. It's literally the hub and the site that you have to touch if you use Stable Diffusion and you want to download models or post images or be a part of the community. It's literally where you have to be. When it comes to the artist conversation, I get told that I am a soulless thief all the time. And people especially like to say it's ironic that your name is Jboogx.creative because there's nothing creative about this.
That's mean.
No, it is. If you're going to play the social media game, and if you want to get big on social media and you have intention on having your work be seen by the masses, you literally cannot have a viral post or get the type of traction you need without both sides of that coin. No one goes viral off of only positivity.
Yeah.
2,000,000% accurate. We just posted a video 2
Tom,
days ago. We remade one scene, 3 seconds from Dune in Unreal Engine 5. They look quite similar, yeah. What Faraz was talking about in the video, that they had a budget of $165 million. We made it with 0. That doesn't mean that we can make the movie with 0 money, or that doesn't undermine the value that the director, the actors, the VFX team of Dune has done. What we were celebrating was the use of a free software to remake a scene. And that was it. And under the comments, we had people
And can I add to that before? I want you to talk about the
the
comments. People don't know that that video is essentially the first video we're putting out in promotion of what we're about to create, which is going to be the largest course on virtual production.
Free course, by the way.
Free fucking course. We're spending a shit ton of money on it, and it's going to be free for people because we're stupid. And then there's people, Father, can you please talk about some of the comments?
Say, oh, you guys are undermining the work of the actor, the director, the DOPs. There was another comment that was talking about, oh no, your work is not 0. You're using ready-made models and you're using GPU. I'm like, that's not the point. The point was using a free software at home, remaking a scene from a Hollywood movie.
And we want to help.
That's
And we're
it.
trying to help people. That's the crazy part.
On that note, I think we should get into the ethical side of it.
Yes, please.
Because while that right there, what you just explained about the Dune clip, sounds very similar to the stuff I hear on my side, and what I want to know, okay, let's just throw it out there. I understand that a lot of AI models are not ethically trained.
Yes.
And that they scrape things like Pinterest and whatever.
YouTube. That we just realized that they're using
NVIDIA is downloading 800 gigabytes of video every single
everybody.
day.
Your YouTube videos, our YouTube videos.
Bro,
yeah.
So we were testing one of the new video models. I'm not going to say which one on one of our Twitch streams, and I prompted like old lady suggestively looking at you over her shoulder. And I swear to God, that old lady looked just like the old woman from Titanic.
Really? Well, train. I'm not surprised.
Not surprised. No, but when everybody, I mean, let's look at the ethical side. When OpenAI, Google, even X, NVIDIA, if everybody is using all the data is that available on the internet,
They're using all of our data.
They're using it.
They're doing it. There's nothing. There's
nothing you can do to stop it.
Nothing we can do about it because this is a capitalist race. Every company has shareholders, and the shareholder interest is to make sure there's going to be profit. And the way to maximize profit is to win the race of AI. That is the truth of it. I mean, good or bad, That's the truth of it. And as an individual, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm sorry.
It could be very easy. Let's just get something straight. It could be very easy for someone to hear what you just said and say, well, of course, these three guys are going to say there's nothing we can do about it because they all have an interest in these tools being available because they use these things. But let's man, I get so heated about this. At what point, how transformational does something have to be that comes out of the output on the other end before whatever, let's call it inspiration? Every artist was inspired by someone. How many people make their living off of selling fucking Pokemon fan art or something like that? Or, dude, I had some guy go crazy in a comment on one of my videos, and I went to his page, and his entire page were 3D renders of Pokemon that he made in Blender. You didn't create Pokemon? What the fuck? Like,
the original idea from somewhere else.
No, I think that, to be honest, I think we are not being fair in the application of rules and regulation that we apply to AI. If you compare it to the other industries, because it's a new technology, because people are not familiar with it, it's very easy to point finger. But like what you mentioned, in any industry, there's copying happening, inspiration is happening. People are taking other people's work and using
I'm going to talk about, I forgot his name, William H. Baker. He is one of the best when it comes to lighting. He basically does videos remaking lightings from different shots of movies. So he does the lighting of Dune, of
Oppenheimer.
Barbie,
His biggest video was Oppenheimer.
And his videos are fucking phenomenal because not only does he do the remake spot on, like 99% accuracy with just the same lights we have at home, he does so while teaching you how he does it. So is he stealing? Because it's not his lighting, right? He's copying lighting from movies that were done by other gaffers during the movie. They were being paid. It's their ideas. So technically he's stealing. No, he's taking those ideas, changing them for the sake of creating content to help us learn how to do lighting. Because the guys who made the movie are not going to teach us. He is doing that. And so for me, it's very hard to say there's an original idea. Exactly what you said. I think I saw also in another, again, we stalked you for a while. So I saw in another comment, someone said that there was the Rick Rubin, The Creative Act book on your shelf. Is that true? And you said that you listened to the audiobook. You have the book, but you listen to the, there you go. Yes.
Yeah.
So when you read books like that and when you just look up creativity, because we both read the book, creativity just comes from you ingesting things and then mixing them up. Sometimes you don't even know you're ingesting something. And 10 years later, it's 1% of the idea that you came up with. And it's just there. You don't even know. It's there in your consciousness and it comes into that form of art that you create. So technically, there's no original ideas. We're always going to be stealing something from somewhere.
And I understand there is a difference between stealing ideas and like training a robot on people's artwork specifically. I understand that. I get it. I'm not saying that the way these things were initially trained are by all
without
means,
people's permission. Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Without people's permission.
But
yes.
guys, please go ahead, Tyler.
Sorry. At the same time, though, Pandora's box has been opened, and there's
no closing.
Probably no closing it. So, as someone who does this professionally, do you make the conscious choice to completely ignore the tools that are available to you? And if you use the tools, even if somewhere in the model there are images that are specific to an artist, if you're not prompting for that artist, and if your final output has no representation to artist XYZ's artwork, and no one could look at one of my videos and say that's so-and-so's style, then is it not past the point of being like counting as transformational and therefore original material?
Can I just add to that? I since you brought up that conversation, I think, Farah, you also wanted to say something. I don't think it's okay to have those long-ass terms and conditions written in a way that average people can't understand them, and then eventually they get to scrape your data without your permission. Guys, I just want every single time you open a new app, it's asking you for your privacy laws and terms and conditions. The moment you're giving them permission to to use the app. They're giving you permission to use the app by you hitting that check button. Essentially, they can do anything they want and you cannot sue them. That's the whole idea. That's why you have to do that every single time you have a new app. The point I want to make is this. Is that right, what they're doing? No, it's not. In my opinion, they should be clear about it, right? We are taking your data, not some whistleblower going and saying that Adobe, for example, is taking all of your work in Photoshop now in the newest update and they haven't told you. We saw that on X. That's what Joey, I think, was talking about as well. These things are not okay. I'm not saying they're okay, but at the end of the day, we live in a world where there's competition. At the end of the day, the same job you did for Anyma, other artists want. And only one person is going to do it. The best and the most competitive and the one who's putting their work out there. So what I'm talking about is the artists who are trying to make it. The artists who really want to win better jobs. They want to stand out among the rest and they believe that they have the best work. There are tools out there and you have to use them if you want to stay competitive over the long run. Yes, maybe you can last another 1, 2, 3 years, but when all these AI LLMs and generative AI models become fucking amazing, you kind of have to use them because you will be left behind if other people are using them and you're not. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying
no, but we are only talking about the generative AI in our industry. But if you look at AI in any industry, the biggest problem is data. Imagine if you want to have an AI that is a doctor, you need to go to all the private clinical data to look at all the cancer information, all the sickness, all the illness, all the
with or without the patient's permission.
You're going to get all those data to train that robot. You go to different industry, law and courts. You need to have access to all the different court cases. Something?
Yeah. And they're already doing that. I'm not going to disclose this. Just about a year ago, we got an email from a clinic, I think it was in Canada, I don't know, a hospital university. And they said that they were using AI to train their models and they were using the patient's data to do it. I'm sure the patient doesn't fucking know about it. I'm sure they didn't contact every single patient and say, we're training our AI data models based on your information.
So usually the creative industry is always at the forefront.
We're getting hit first.
Yeah, always getting hit first.
What I see a lot. So what I see a lot on Threads, because Threads to me feels like, I try to stay off Threads a lot because Threads to me feels like the Instagram app where people just go to complain about Instagram. And then
I don't use it.
And then the part of a part of X that I see, just because a lot of stuff I do is AI and AI adjacent. The artists that I see with like the worst takes about AI, when I go and I look at their page and I look at their work and stuff, a lot of the time, and I'm not saying this is true for everyone, but a lot of the time it's artists that like haven't even figured out how to market themselves or how to present their work in a professional way, it's like it's people that are just getting started and they're posting about how they feel almost like demotivated because they want to pursue art, but with all the AI stuff coming out, like there's nothing to be demotivated about. It just means that while you're learning and getting your bearings about you in the traditional route, you should also be dabbling in the new stuff and figuring out ways to combine it. What I saw with this, I'm not the best After Effects user, like by any means. Me and After Effects have a very
complicated relationship.
It is very complicated, man. There have been many times where my Mac Studio almost had to go sleep outside because of what After Effects has done to me. But you have to, there's like give and take with everything. And I'm not the best After Effects user, but I know enough to intertwine it into AI. And what I saw with AI when I started using these tools was, oh shit, this is new. This is fresh. There's a couple people that are doing cool things that are catching my eye, but this is infancy. This is a level playing field creatively right now. Whereas at the time I was trying to skill up in After Effects, and I gotta tell you, I understand how you can scroll on Instagram or on any of the social media apps for 10 minutes and see 100 people that their work feels mind-blowingly light years ahead of yours. It does not take long for you to instantly go, fuck, I'll never be able to do that. It does not take long to start feeling that way. And that's one thing that I hate about these apps. But you have to recognize that the people you see that are making the incredible work, most of the time, they are part of a very small minority. It gets easy to think that that's the majority because that might be the feed that's getting curated to you. Most people are not at that level. These tools have leveled the playing field, and I was able to come in at the right time and put enough maximum effort into it to now confidently be able to like say, yeah, I am, if you want AI work done, I can do it, and I am not the budget option for you.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a give and take. And it's the same thing with social media. You're not going to, very rarely do people get to blow up by only making the things that they're extremely passionate about. I wish that was the case, right? We all wish that was the case. But the way I approach my social is, my mentality is one for me, one for them. Yeah. Sometimes maybe it's one for me and 10 for them. But it's, you know, I will make the stuff that I know people that are not in the creative industry, that maybe they fall under the normie tag, right? They'll see it and they'll have some type of visceral or emotional reaction to it, or it's something they'll see for the first time. But I also every now and then will make something that I'm so excited about that I know is not going to get shared and be a hit on the algorithm. But looking at that video, that's what I'm proud about. But you need to make both of those things. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to have the climb.
100% agree, but I want to add to that because we've done content creation for a long time as well. And I want to promise this to everybody. At first, you got to start out with the 1 for me, 10 for them, or actually 0 for me, 10 for them. That's how it always starts. And then you can tip the scale as you grow an audience to 5 for me, 5 for them. And then to the point that you're at right now, when you say 1 for me, 1 for them, sure. But I really believe if you do this long enough and you do it right, it will be the same post for you and for them. Because you will eventually find that thing that you love and they love. And then every single video, every single content you're putting out there is for you and for them. And it's going to get there. You just need to put in the time.
Or you can be like Kanye, 1 for me, fuck them.
Yeah, fuck God, I love you.
But hey, man, that too is a personality type that some people fucking resonate with.
Yeah, some people, bro, millions around the world. Yeah.
Something I wish that I could have figured out how to do sooner in my social media content and in like my social media journey was, I wish I would have figured out ways to inject myself into the content. So you want to do the pole dancing yourself on top of the not like that, not quite like that, but just ways to get me into it. So when they're watching my work, they're also getting to know me. And they're not just looking at a cool video.
Yeah.
So, and mostly right now, that's what I utilize stories on Instagram for. Like the stories are where like I'll get on and I'll yap to the camera and get personal and talk about my thoughts and stuff. And the feed gets to be for the art. But if you're early on in this, the sooner you can figure out to inject yourself into your work in like a literal sense, the more successful you'll be earlier.
I mean, honestly,
100%.
I know exactly how yours should look like because when I was watching your videos, all I wanted to know is how the hell you made it.
Actually, I have one suggestion. You have
so literally when you made that cheese or the pancake and sausage, post it right after that, or post it another time, and then maybe it's half of that video, half of it is you, and you're like, I just made
green
this.
Screen yourself, like this is how I did it,
and you do like a quick 30 seconds rundown of how you did it, very high level. I would be very interested in understanding that.
And people will remember your face for that all the time.
No, I agree. Sometimes making those behind the scenes videos are more of a pain in the ass than making the actual video.
This is one for them. This is the one for them, 100%. This is the one for them.
We are talking about. No, I totally agree.
we are talking about trolls and haters, but I'm sure there are a lot of people who love what you do and who want to learn how you do it. If someone wants to start learning about video making using AI, what is the best way to do it?
Okay, so there are three recommendations I have here. One, selfishly, you have to go check out the Civitai YouTube channel, because all the live streams I do with all the insanely talented creators that come on and do various tutorials. Just the other week, we had someone show how they took a 2D image generation, turned it into a 3D object in Comfy, and then put it into a 3D scene with lighting while still in Comfy.
Whoa.
So,
okay.
like insane stuff, but there are different levels of tutorials on the Civitai YouTube channel. So that's youtube.com/CIVITAI. Go check that out.
We're going to put the link.
Yeah. So the Civitai YouTube channel. And then I have to shout out two of my really good friends who are doing incredible tutorials on YouTube for people. The first one, his name is Enigmatic E.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
On Instagram. Yes.
Yes. So Enigmatic E, he's recently had a lot of success and blown up on LinkedIn and on Twitter with some of his behind the scenes posts, because he does a lot of like Blender to Comfy, and he shows his process. You have to go check out Enigmatic E's thing. He reviews tools and he has beginner guides.
We should bring him on the pod.
We will.
You should. Yes. He would be a great one for you guys.
Yeah.
And number two is my good friend Purz, P-U-R-Z. I believe his YouTube is Purz Beats.
Okay.
Purz does weekly educational streams, and this man has a Comfy first steps 2-part beginner's guide that like...
Is he? I might be getting this wrong, but I saw a video on X. I showed it to you as well. There's a lady, and then he overlaid, this guy overlaid his face. Yeah, that's Purz.
That's Purz. That's Purz.
I'm gonna, like, I would just want to explain to people what happened. We posted that on our story as well. So he uses his face, his face to overlay his facial motion on top of a video of a lady. I think she was drinking wine or smoking something. And it's the most crazy thing you're ever going to see. So that's Purz.
That's Purz.
Okay.
The best part about that is that specific workflow, like making that video probably took him less than 30 minutes.
Fuck. What? Okay. I feel
See,
kind of shitty right now.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, people need to be informed, and those two guys, if you watch them, you will be informed on what is going on in the open source generative AI community on the animation side of things.
All right, got it. I got to ask one more thing, because you mentioned the Mac Studio. We are using a 4090 for all of our 3D work because we're doing Unreal, we're doing
Mac
Houdini.
Studio here. What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about your Mac Studio. I'm talking about my baby 4090. No, but I'm actually genuinely curious. For all the work that you do, what kind of hardware do you need?
So we have a full-blown battle station going on here. So, okay, we started with a Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra when the first Mac Studio came out. So that's kind of the core of everything. And then I have a 3090 machine over here to my right, and I have a 4090 machine here to my left.
Yeah, he's got a whole battle.
We have the Mac Studio,
4090.
And everything is connected via Microsoft Remote Desktop, because with Remote Desktop, you can copy and paste between all the machines seamlessly. And using the Mac, the desktop function, one button, and I can just slide between all the computers. So the PCs render the AI stuff. I do all my video editing and After Effects work on the Mac.
Right, because the Mac is more user-friendly and it's better for editing. But then if you're rendering things, you want to have that Windows.
You are not allowed to comment on Mac products. You are a Windows user. Get
out of here, man. Get out of here.
I love my PCs. They are a necessity, but I just enjoy the environment of the Mac a little bit more.
Yes, of course. Steve Jobs has done a great job with that. Yes.
With that being said, I only was able to get into AI because I bought my 3090 PC off of a friend for a really good price when he was upgrading to a 4090 machine. However, that machine got me through my first 6 months of AI, and at the time, my tool of choice was this thing called Warp Fusion.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Oh, boy, it was a pain in the ass. You had to run it out of a Google Colab notebook, and it was, bro, but I did a music video for this Egyptian R&B artist named Hamei.
Okay.
His team contacted me on Instagram, and I did a full, almost 4-minute music video for him that was all done in Warp Fusion. They shot everything in Egypt. They had me on a live stream, and I directed them so that they could shoot it in the best way for me to work with it. I took that entire paycheck from that. That was my first big commission with AI, right? That paycheck never touched my bank account. That thing went right into the 49 machine.
To 49. No, it's fucking worth it because with the 49
Faraz knows how that feels. He always does that.
It's amazing. Investing in your hardware that you use, not hardware that you're buying as you're starting out, because you never know what you're going to do with that career path. But as you're making it, and then you invest that money in your hardware, that's the best fucking investment you're going to have. So technically what I want to know is with the... I believe even with lower specs, you can do what you're doing. It's just going to take longer to render. So the only advantage right now you have is just rendering things really quickly.
Well, yes and no. It's going to be really hard for people to do anything remotely close to what I do unless they have at least 16 gigabytes of VRAM.
Good to know. Okay.
If they don't, unless they're willing to pay for like a cloud GPU service to run Comfy on. Okay. So they can like rent a 4090 to work on for like 50 cents an hour or something.
Okay. So you cannot do, can you do what you do on a Mac, like the renders and everything as well?
No shot.
That's why you're here.
My man. Okay, that was interesting. I was just curious because I understand after watching and listening to this podcast, there's people who might want to get started.
Now they know what they need. They know how to learn.
Exactly.
They're good to go.
Man, Tyler, it's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. We learned so much, and we're very excited about where you're headed. We can't wait to see what you create. We're going to be stalking your dancing videos and your the one that you're going to do the pole dancing yourself and then turn into honey. Jokes aside, we're looking forward to see what kind of content you create. Keep it up because it's working really well, and we absolutely love it.
Dude, guys, thank you so much. This conversation was a blast. Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Love it. Tyler, thank you so much. And for everybody else watching and listening, thank you so much. Like always, we will see you guys on the next episode. Until then, ciao.
Ciao.